Hello, my name is Zach. I'm an admissions representative here at Penn Commercial, and we're going to go through a little bit of demonstration here with Dana Schnorrenberg, our welding instructor here at Penn Commercial. Starting in, Dana, I want to ask you a few questions. So, looking at the welding program, what can students expect to get out of this program?
Things that we expect when the students are going to leave here after going through the program here is a year long. Okay. We test the American Welding Society standards as far as plate testing in 3 different processes. That would be shielded metal arc welding, which is stick welding. Okay. We do what's called flux core arc welding, and we do MIG welding, or gas metal arc welding is the real term for it. And we also do 2 different pipe tests, and the students get actual certifications that they take when they're out interviewing jobs. It proves that they know how to, they have an idea of what these a certified weld should be.
Well, I don't want to cut you off too much here, but let's get into the good stuff. Let's see some demonstration and check these flowers out here. These are pretty neat.
Yeah, I'll talk about. It's a nice little project. A lot of people like the metal flowers. First of all, you can't kill them because they're kind of timeless. Metal's kind of timeless, and I make a number of different ones. I make been working on the daffodil right now. Okay, nice. Which everyone seems to like the rose, and this is actually made out of
that's a classic.
Out of brass and copper. Not a tremendous amount of welding in here. It really, I'm just going to show how we make the petals with the sepal. This one's made out of stainless steel that I made. So what we do here with the students, we make them out of copper. We have a project where we do some copper ones.
And the detail of those is crazy.
That's what really comes down to is like that's why I'm not. Everyone's got their own taste as far as what they want to do here. My cell phone is full of pictures of real flowers because I try to recreate them, and really that goes along with what we do. There's a process that we go through. Planting is one. I mean, these flowers start out as this. Okay?
Just the pipe. We
scavenge the pipe out of. My brother-in-law saves me pipe. He's a finish carpenter, and that gets turned into this. Okay. There's our pieces. So, and we're going to do this safely here too. So I have my earplugs because I don't want to damage my ears. I got my glasses because I hate stuff in my eyes and I don't want to be blind. And I have some other gear, my gloves that I'll be putting on. But at this point in time, we've already established our plan. Okay, here's my templates for this. And I've already done some very basic layout work, which was trace around there so I can cut them out. And really, for me to get going on with this, I'm going to have to cut these parts. And there's a number of different ways that you can cut copper. The simplest way would just be with tin snips or aviation snips. I mean, you can do this at home, and really anybody that witnesses this, you don't need a lot of equipment to do this at home. Okay, you could do this with an angle grinder, some tin snips, a hammer, pliers. You don't even have to weld this if you don't want to. We do because it gives it a nice finish on the bottom there. Okay. So, and there's on just something like this, there's only 2 welds on there right now. Of course, there's a lot more welds on here. Okay.
The detail's amazing.
The details, it's in the details, right?
It's nice. So I like the idea that you're adding a little bit of finesse to welding. I mean, you're teaching the students to do things in extreme detail. I know you mentioned like making the gates if you were doing something like that.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. But I'm gonna let you go. I want to check this out. I want to watch this happen. Dana, go ahead and take it over.
Okay.
We'll just be kind of checking things out here.
At this point in time, I'm ready to cut out my pieces, make my flour, and I'm going to put on my Shade 5 burning glasses and to protect my eyes. If I'm doing a lot of plasma cutting, I put my earplugs in also because I'm trying to save my my hearing. So let's fire this up. Okay, parts have been cut out. That air will turn off. I don't believe I have any more plasma cutting, so I'm going to step out and just cut the machine off real quick to make sure. Okay, we'll shut our machine down. Now I got to gather up my parts, and they shouldn't be too hot because plasma cutting really on these smaller pieces just doesn't generate that much heat. And this is really the second part of my flour building, with the first part being a good plan, okay? And it might not seem like there's much math involved in there, but when I drew up the templates on this stuff out of cardboard, I had to take the circumference of my pipe times pi to figure out how wide this would be when I opened it up to make sure that my parts would even fit on there. Okay, right now I just have the parts sitting here for the beginnings of another flour, and it gives me the part that I needed to be able to finish this guy off here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to clean it up a little bit with my die grinder. As you know, you can see that it's all tarnished, and from the heat, it'll polish up real nice to give us that warm copper color, which I like. Okay, I'll clean this up a little bit. All right, we got some parts now. Actually, I needed a one piece to finish what I got started here, and I actually had enough to burn out for another flour to get started, and I'm going to go ahead and drill the holes. Now, I'm using copper. You can use steel, and we talk about this. Different metals have different mechanical properties, okay? Steel has iron in it. Copper, aluminum, brass does not, okay? And it's a little softer and easier to work. So really one of the mechanical properties that we look at is hardness, okay? We also look at things like weldability. Can we weld copper to steel? Can we weld aluminum to steel? We know we can weld steel to steel, but we look at these different things. So there's some basic metallurgy that goes in it that's expected to be known, you know, as far as us being welders out there in the field. But right now I'm going to drill some holes out so I can get the final assembly done here. And it's pretty much a crash course in flower making 101. There we go. I think I'll drill those out later. I'm going to knock the burr off. Real funny about sharp edges. I've been cut. I don't want stitches. Working here in this shop, if you bring me a plate and you didn't knock the sharp edges off before you, after you welded it, I'll throw it in the scrap hopper because I'm not getting spending any more time at the hospital. All right, we finished the pedal up just to see what a basic thing looks like here. What I'll do when I get these pedals done like that, just real quick, is I take it to my small little anvil that my neighbor give me. You can use anything you want here, and I pound a finish in there so it looks like a flower petal. Okay? I do that on all of my pieces, but we want to try to keep the time down on this. Now, what I got going on right now is this is a stainless steel stem that I got for my flower. I welded a stud on there before the photography guys came in. I welded a real small little weld right here. You could actually make this whole stem out of all thread if you wanted to and not do any welding at all. I like doing the welding because when we weld this up, it gives you a nice finish that looks like a flower on the bottom here. So attention to detail. That's what, so right now I'm going to weld this up. You just got to watch your eyes, okay? You guys ready? Okay, here we go. Not a lot of welding, but we're making something. All right, my nut's been welded on there, so my pedal's got something to go to. I'm going to cool this off and I'm going to get this going on. Okay, I got one more weld to run on this guy. I'm going to go ahead and clean this up real quickly. Clean this up a little bit to give it a nice finish. That'll work. I need a seat for my pedals. All right, there's my copper piece that I just made up with the plasma cutting and I drilled a hole in. We're going to put this guy down there. It's actually called a sepal, I believe. This piece, and then we have petals. And these are going to go on there. We got 3 sizes. And you can put as many petals on as you want. I have another pattern where I have 5 petals. Okay. And, I want my other pieces. Okay, I got another nut, another stainless steel nut that's going on here. And I'm going to sandwich all this stuff on there. And the thing to do is you want to make sure that your petals are offset. Okay, so I have radius here going to a cut line underneath, you want them to be staggered, okay? And then we're actually going to get into the forming part of it, which really isn't too hard, and our flour's done. Right now I have to get this nut tight so it doesn't rattle when it's done, because that just seems cheap when something rattles like that, and that's why I use these studs, because I want to get these as tight as possible when I do these. So, and I didn't bring my socket set. All right, that baby's tight. Now what I do is my second weld on a stem itself, which is I weld that till it melts down and it looks like a radius. It looks like the inside of a rose. So I'm going to do that right now. Watch your eyes, fellas. I got to trim that down. You can do this with any process you want. You can do this stick, you can do this MIG, you can do it TIG. We're doing it MIG just because we're trying to keep this in some sort of a time frame. And MIG is fast. There's my second weld. As you can see, it's a little hot. Yeah. It's a little hot, still glowing red. I'm going to cool this off, and then I'm going to start shaping my petals, and we got a flower. Okay, I want to bend this one up and show you here. I bent this guy up. When we bring this around, we want these guys to overlap each other, like so. I want that actually to come like that, like clockwise. And then this guy would go like, oh, that's stuck. Use the tools. There we go. Okay. You can see where I turned them there. So they kind of, we got an edge going to the center, edge going to the next center, edge going to the center, and that's how we shape those. Okay. Now I'm going to put it in here, and I got a pair of channel locks that I bought just specifically for shaping this stuff. And I use my Leatherman, which you will never find me without a Leatherman ever, because it's such a useful tool. Okay. Now I'm going to start bending these over. And that's what's nice about a non-ferrous metal that's a little softer versus steel, is that they're easier to shape. And that's why I chose it for this particular outing. When I've done this with stainless steel, I would have to heat this to be able to shape it the way that I wanted. So, and I usually use an example to see what I did. To get this going on. You gotta have them overlapping each other right, or it's not going to look right. So, and this really ain't a bad activity if you want to be down in your garage, you know, listening to the radio or whatever, and making up groovy metal stuff. All right, there's that. Okay, now it's starting to come together, and I'm going to mash it in a little bit. And this is really where your eye comes into it, and it does take some practice. I'm going to tighten this up. I'd want to make it like I was making it for myself. And I've talked with the students, I have my own standards as far as welding goes. I chip every weld. If I'm stick welding, I wire brush every weld. If I'm TIG welding or stick welding, that's part of it, and I don't care what supervisor tells me to do what. Those are my standards, and it's going to get done. If I'm not the right guy, if you want to push it through or whatever, you need to find somebody else.
Okay, so that's something that the students can look forward to, kind of that experience, that fine detail, you incorporate that into your instruction.
Yeah, and you know, when we do this, it's like, you know, I have them make two. One is a practice and one is a, I actually grade them on it. I make a drawing. It's like, okay, I need 2 leaves on this, and I've had guys bring it to me with no leaves on it. You know, so it's attention to detail. And just in the simplest terms, we need to get some common sense going back on with some of the things going on, and hopefully we see an upturn in manufacturing in this country again. I'd like to see it. I saw it in the early 70s, really, and I'd like to see it again, see things come back. And I want the students to be successful. I have students that do this kind of work and make a living out of it, or a very good subsidy to their living. So, and you can, my shop at home is 14 by 28, and I only use about a half of it. You don't need, everybody, you know, it's like, oh, I can't get into that. I can't afford that kind of equipment and stuff. You can make it work if you want to. I've cut stuff out with a hacksaw before to get it done because I didn't have a set of torches. I cut an entire 64 Pontiac Le Mans apart with one of these because I didn't want the heat distortion from using a torch. So these things all come into play in those experiences when they go out into the workplace. So I've had a lot. I enjoy working with metal. I work with wood also a little bit. High quality stuff, walnut or maple. Okay. I'm gonna mash this guy up a little bit, and it's just about done. As you can see, the prep work takes more time than what I'm doing right here. And I've seen other people's, their designs and stuff that they do on this. Some of them, as they stack their layers, they weld them as they go. I don't. That's something, with a decorative thing like that, it would come to the creator what they wanted to do. You can really do some cool artistic stuff with this. I got a little bit more bending to do around on the bottom, but that's basically it in a nutshell. Okay? Okay. It's a quick rundown on how I make the main body of these metal flowers that I like to make, and hopefully, you know, someone would want to come in and experience the program here at the school. I think we have a lot to offer.
Nice. Well, thanks for joining us here today with Dana making these flowers, showing you a softer and more creative side of welding. This is part of the experience you'll get through the program in welding, and right now we are conducting tours to go through. If this piques any curiosity that you have, definitely reach out to us. Go to penncommercial.edu and check out some more information on the welding program. And feel free to contact me. Again, my name is Zach Ramey in admissions here. And we can go through a full tour, take you back, go through the actual booths here, and have a word with Dana if we get a chance to stop by.